Hello, as you can see, finally I've got something new for reviews. By saying new I don't mean something freshly released, but it's still a pretty hot model that was released not so long time ago. It's Shanling Q1, their next generation of small players. Actually the smallest one is still M0 and Q1 is like small but not that small. Actually, it's a direct successor of their bestseller M1. Few years ago, I don't remember how long ago it was, maybe 3 years or a bit more or less. I could Google that, of course, but I'm too lazy to do that and it's not that important. So Shanling M1 became a turning point both for market and for Shanling, because Shanling released players that showed that market demands small devices, and they realized that their strong point is design, and they invested in design and released few really good dubs with great design. Actually, I covered almost all their new models, so you are aware about their new lineup. But M1 became huge bestseller. Later they released M0, even smaller and more affordable. But actually M0 sounded worse than M1. It's not surprising because it's smaller, cheaper, but anyway. I was waiting for the upgraded version of M1 and it appeared. So they named it Q1 to probably to signify the start of the new lineup. Probably new dubs will be with Q index or not. Anyway, it's based on the ES9218, pretty common decision nowadays. It was started as a crowdfunding project on a Kickstarter. Price was $90 if I remember right. Now it's freely available in many shops for $120, and let's have a closer look. As you can see, box is stylish. Shanling are well known as creators of great package and great first impression. Nice logo, combination of glossy and embossed paper, so looks pretty attractive. On the back side they highlighted DSD support, 2.7 inches HD touchscreen, Bluetooth 4.2, so traditional specs nowadays. And I got a forest green color. I will tell about colors a bit more later. You will have a protective film, so it's a nice touch. And the box, as usual, it's really fancy. So here is player itself. As usual, I'm trying to be careful and not tear everything apart. So here probably we will have papers, warranty card, manual, and so on. Yeah, I was right. So by the way, if you don't like the unboxing part, you can skip. I'm adding always timestamps to the description, so you can skip to the part that is interesting for you. And charging cable, nice, good fabric coated cable. Let's put all unnecessary things aside. Also you will have nice silicone case. It's a really good touch, and actually case is matching the player's color. But of course let's remove the case, because we need to admire this player. Shanling did a great job, because you know impression is super positive. It's pretty heavy, it's plastic, but it's, you know, it's a good plastic. Before that, the best plastic I've seen was Activo CT10, but now it's even better with good finish and really nice attractive color. It's some kind of emerald green with a bit of bluish or navy color. Sorry, train is passing by, so consider it as a free headphones test. Meanwhile, I will just turn it this way. You know, it's summer now, all windows are open, so trains sounding louder. Anyway, feels pretty good in hand. Of course, it's not metal, but still it's a really fancy design. It's gathering fingerprints like crazy, but still it's the price you'll have to pay for such a beauty. What else I can say? I'm not sure how it will age, how it will be looking like after half a year or a year, so how this surface is scratch proof, but for now it looks pretty okay. So 3 big buttons on the left side for tracks navigation and play pause, really convenient for one-hand controls. They are pretty easy to touch, but probably there could be some accident clicks, but you can turn them off in the menu. On the bottom there is a USB-C for charging, headphones output and microSD slot. Player doesn't have its own memory, so it's just microSD card you can use with it, but it supports up to 2 terabytes. Headphones output, as usual, can be used as a line out if you need it, and USB-C, you can use it for charging to access the memory card content. You can use it as a digital tonal converter, you can use it as a digital transport, so all basic features that is common you will have. And this side knob works as a volume control, and also it's an on-off button, and also the screen lock. And there is a sensor screen. As you can see, it's not edge to edge, not even close, but it's pretty big with good resolution. Not the brightest one, but anyway pretty okay to be visible even under the bright studio lights. Screen is sensor corner, so you can use swipes to control it. With this rotator knob you can change the volume. And also, speaking about the charge, Shanling stated about more than 20 hours of work, but in my tests I'm getting from 12 to 15 hours. It's more realistic estimate. I am pretty sure that under some circumstances you can achieve this 20 hours. If you start playback of some low resolution files with low volume, you will get this 20 hours, but more lifelike tests gives from 12 hours up to 15 and 2 hours to charge the battery. Still pretty good figures, not stellar, but pretty good. Oh, yeah, and it has Bluetooth, 2-directional Bluetooth with LDAC, SBC and AAC. Also, it supports aptX, but only as a transmitter, not as a receiver. Anyway, it's the case when design is so good that it's probably shadows all other stuff, and it's pleasant. It's pretty heavy, it's unexpectedly heavy, of course not super heavy. How to express it? It's heavy for this size, because, for example, FIO M6 is more lightweight, and for such a small player you expect it to be more lightweight. But this weight is a sign of really good design, so it's a pleasant weight. As before, Shanling uses their own operation system as a basics of firmware. So it uses sensor screen, and if you've seen my review of M0, I didn't like that actually animation on screen when you swipe these icons on the main screen. It was pretty laggy, and Shanling fixed that. They just removed the animation, and actually they didn't change it for this player, so it's a bit non-intuitive, and also icons looks like built by different designers, but it's not that important. Anyway, on the main screen there is my music, it's media library, favorites, folders, just folders browser, really good in terms of response, so response of screen improved noticeably. Playlists, it's new playlist, import, export, so you can manage your own playlist here. Playback controls, so maximum volume, default volume, resume mode, so on, track and location as usual. Gapeless playback, actually, does anyone know why someone why someone can be willing to turn the gapeless off? If you know such cases, please write. I'm really curious about that. Equalizer, and actually, as you can see, there are 3 custom presets that you can edit, so if you like equalization, it's a good option for you. Gain low, high, replay gain, digital filters of the saber used here, channel balance, as you can see all menu items have icons, play mode, and folder skip, so should it proceed to next folder when this one is over. And system settings, update library, wireless settings, it's Bluetooth, and sync link, it's for remote control of this player via the Bluetooth. Brightness, but it's maximum level now. Idle, sleep timer if you need. USB mode, so USB or access to memory card, date and time. Lock screen, so I don't need it actually, so I will turn it off. And you can set some custom lock screen if you like, for example, photo of your significant other. Double click wake up for this knob, buttons lock, so when screen is off, should buttons work or not. DSD output mode, so DSD to PCM, DSD over PCM, and native. Pretty convenient if you want to use some external, if you want to use it as a transport. USB audio output with fixed volume or variable volume. Output options, phones out or headphones out, in vehicle mode, language, about, reset settings, and system update. So everything pretty traditional here. And my music is always all songs, albums, artists, composer, genre, high-res tracks, frequently played, recently added. So let's open all songs. So album. As you can see, it's loading album covers, but after some delay. And if you select the album, you can see the album tracks, for example. I wonder, yes, 2 level of grouping by the artist. So if you select artist, and I'm constantly misclicking, so probably I'm doing this swipe. When you swipe from bottom up, you go to main screen, and I'm triggering this gesture because you can see that the edge of the screen is somewhere here, so I'm starting to scrolling from here, and I'm going back to the main menu. So Bruce Dickinson, some album, and actually here it is. And you can always go back, but anyway, needs to start something for playback. In the bottom part there is a album cover and track name, but actually here track is present. Yeah, and now it's updated here too, so you can see that something sometimes not working absolutely perfect, but still Shanling did a lot of work in polishing firmware and adding missing features, so everything works more or less reliably here. On the now playing screen, big buttons for track navigation, play order, A/B repeat, add to favorite. You should be able, yes, to swipe. On the next screen, add to playlist, information, and equalizer. and lyrics. It requires some usage. So swipe from... Not all swipes are perfectly registering, so there is some trick probably. And by tapping you will have the full-size album cover. So I spent 3 days with this player, but I still need some more time to practice swipes. Actually, you can speed up the playback. Probably it will be useful for some podcasts or something like that. I need to practice swipes more to get the more precise control. But after some usage, probably it won't be an issue. So in terms of firmware, it's a modern player with all necessary features is present and working pretty well. And of course about the sound, the most interesting aspect of any player. So let's have some in-ear monitors, and it will be Noble Han. They released updated version of Han named Sultan. Actually, what other royal names are left? I suppose I will review Sultan in some far future, like in few months, because they are sold out. But let's go back to the Q1, and on the positive side, Shanling decided to make a step from their typical signature sound. For me, their dubs always sounding like they're trying to highlight the sound, to add more mids, to add more weight for the lows, to make treble more crisp and so on. So like, you know, many additional enhancements in sound, and it's sounding fun but not really natural. And for the Q1 they managed to achieve almost natural sound, but they decided not to make it too monitoring, and they actually just reduced treble a little bit, so player in general is on the warmer side, but it's not that weighty kind of warms or warms because of highlighted low frequencies. No, it's warms because of recessed treble. So of course, you know, there are two ways of making sound warm. You can add more lows or you can make less treble, and usually position of mids showing which way they choose. Or you have accented lows and then mids and treble linear, or you have linear bass and mids and recessed treble. But of course this is done not in terms of frequency response, because frequency response here is almost perfectly flat as any other modern dub. It's more a balance of energy and accents that player put. So let's speak about the sound step by step. Lows are not accented, and it's a bad news for those who like accented lows, who like added weight, but it's a good news for those who like natural and natural low frequencies. Depth is good, not the maximum, because it's lacking a bit of deeper bass and weight, but still depth is pretty normal. And what is more important, this small player get almost similar depths with even with high impedance headphones. Of course, not something crazy, but it's pretty well in driving tough load. Anyway, resolution is good, actually not superb also, but pretty good, nice texturing, and you know, it's suited more for the natural instruments, for some acoustic instruments, for something like that. But for electronic music you can use equalizer, or you can just get some basic headphones. So you know, it's simply it's easier to add low frequencies than to reduce some accent. And as an example, for the low frequencies, I've got Robert Plant Band of Joy and track named House of Cards. It has nice acoustic bass line here and pretty deep going drum. At the same time, it's not you know, some bass heavy track with accented low frequencies. No, it's just natural music, good acoustic instruments, and this player performs really well here. You can see I just barely touched this part and it toggled previous track. So buttons can be too sensitive sometimes. just a tiny tap, it's really easy. But anyway, so mids are good, they are really well balanced, not something on the warmer side, not something going too nitpicking and too monitoring. So really nice, well balanced mid frequencies that dips you into music and playing track as is. At the same time, player is not super nitpicking, it's not trying to highlight every issue with your record, so it's pretty listenable even with something poorly recorded. At the same time, instruments are pretty natural and sounding really well balanced. Imaginary stage is above average both in width and in depth, and it's a huge step forward from the Shanling's M0 because it's noticeable improvement in terms of staging. Of course, your headphones will still be the limiting part here, but comparing with M0, improvement is really noticeable, at least for me. If you haven't seen my video about the subjectiveness of imaginary stage, it was the previous video on my channel. Not actually previous, before this one. But anyway, so one of the recent videos. So, natural, really well balanced mid frequencies, not something superb and rich layered like Aston can do, but for $120 dubs, a really good mid performance. And as you've seen, I used Pink Floyd The Wall as an example of mid frequencies, and it's comfortably numb, the best guitar solo in the history of the music, and you get it. And this player really managed to deliver this solo in a nice and natural way. And treble is recessed. It's for me it's a pity because I like treble. I don't like recessed treble, but for those who are sensitive to the high frequencies, it's probably good news. And it's not recessed too much, so if your headphones are too bright and too fatiguing, probably it's not 100% sure that it will fix the issues, because anyway, you know, recession of treble is just slight, so it's better to find some headphones that suit you more. But if you need to tame treble just a little bit, it's the good player that will give it to you. At the same time, treble is pretty technical, it has good extension, resolution is normal, not super, but normal, slightly above average, slightly below perfect, somewhere there. Attacks and decays, of course, are simplified, layering is really basic, but once again, for this price range and for the small dub, it's a good performance. And actually it's enough treble to represent all the percussions, all the cymbals and other instruments that are going high to the treble area. Also, it's pretty normal in overtone saturation, but at the same time, of course, don't expect some rich layering or too airy sound or something like that. It's still on the warmer side and more mid and bass focused. And as an example, for the treble, I've got one of the most treble phobic tracks in my collection, anti-treble phobic. It's Iron Maiden's Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, one of their great masterpieces, but at the same time it's really brightly recorded and mastered. I don't know why, but on the natural sources and headphones, Dickinson's Seventh Son of a Seventh Son really sounding piercing, even for me, as I'm a fan of treble, but still this SS is on the sharper side of things. So this track is a good test for sibilance, because with this track, player that doesn't have recessed treble should sound sibilant. You can test your gear actually with this track. And with the Shanling Q1, this track sounding almost comfortable, so not 100%, but treble is tamed here a little bit. So to summarize everything, nice, really good performing mids, also nice lows with slight lacking of depth, but normal, and a bit recessed treble to make sound more comfortable. What I can also mention about this player, it's pretty universal in terms of load. Of course, slight background noise is present with super sensitive in-ear monitors, but for me it's on the normal level, not too high, but still audible. But what is good about it, it's really efficient in driving full-size headphones. Of course, don't expect it to drive something like, I don't know, Mesa Empyrean or Hi-Fi Man models that requires tons of driving power, but vast majority of full-size headphones, including even high impedance ones, of course not 600 ohms biorodynamics, something more polite, it drives pretty well, so Shanling implemented a good amplifier in terms of current. And also I must admit that this player is really good as a Bluetooth device, so if you need something for streaming or if you need a receiver, it's just a really good option because Bluetooth transmitter here is working really nicely, at least in my tests. So, and it supports all the codecs that is necessary. And speaking about the comparisons, I will probably make another video when I will get Heidi's AP80 Pro, but quick overview to position this player somewhere in the modern lineup. So in terms of sound, it's somewhere on the same level with FIO M6, for example, but FIO M6 has more treble and because of that sounding less warm and more natural. Heidi's AP80, not Pro version that I've tested, it's brighter and more focused on the micro detalization. Shanling M0, well, Q1 just literally beats M0 hands down. And it's a good upgrade over M1, sounding not a huge step forward, but it's still a step forward in terms of stage, in terms of control. So if you have an old M1, probably it's time to upgrade. Maybe there are some other models, but I already mentioned few reference points, so you can probably extrapolate and understand how do it sound. So if you need something relatively small, if you like fancy built things, Shanling Q1 exists in few different really good colors. So if you okay with plastic, but actually really well made plastic, and if you need, especially if you need Bluetooth, if you need something small, long lasting and so on, so Shanling Q1 is a really good model. Not of course perfect, not giant killer, but really solid and offer with good price quality ratio in this price range. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.